Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we speak of works open procedures. It is a procedure that we use when we want to contract works to be realized by a contractor. It is very common by now in grant projects that there could be a component dealing with the implementation of works, meaning the construction, in our case, of small or medium-sized infrastructure. The works open procedure can be implemented into different kind of modalities, in the international modality or in the local open modality. It depends mainly on the value of the infrastructure we want to realize. In case of infrastructure above 5 million euro, we use the international procedures, open procedures, of course. In the case of the infrastructure that are costing less than 5 million euro, but more than 300,000 euro, we use the local open procedure. I must anticipate you that the procedure for to award contracts and international open procedure for works is rarely used, or probably it has never been used so far for grant projects, because normally they don't have these sites. But the one for projects between 300,000 and 5 million euro, the local open, is very often used. The main difference between these two procedures is where we are going to advertise the works that we want to realize, the tender that we are publishing. In case of the international open procedure, we have to advertise also on the international press. In the case of the local open procedure, it's enough that we advertise only on the local press. This is the main difference in terms of procedure that we have to respect when we are dealing with this type of works contract. However, the procedure that we have developed and that is available in the manual, that is available in this website, as well as the presentation that we are going to deal with, is somehow telling us that yes, we can use these procedures also for international tenders, but in the case of international tenders being so expensive, more than 5 million euro, it would be always requested additional technical assistance provided to the contracting authorities, unless the contracting authority is very well experienced and is able to make some additional manipulation of the tender dossier that are able to ensure enough quality in the work implementation and enough control on the companies that are going to be selected. Well, when we started preparing these procedures, we were wondering whether it was necessary to have one manual dealing with this type of procedures. And actually, we addressed these procedures under a different perspective than traditionally it is done. We speak of procurement, but in reality we are focusing on contracting. And the difference is quite important, because when we speak of procurement, we are mainly speaking of the obligation that the contracting authority is having in order to launch and award the grant contract. But normally there is little attention from the authorities that have to control the grant beneficiaries about the structure of the contracts. There are only few articles few clauses that must be respected, and these few clauses are mainly of general nature, general importance, but they are not really addressing what are the crucial elements of the contract between our grant beneficiary and the contractor, that is normally a construction company in this type of activity. And that is very relevant part of our work, because when we are going to implement a works contract, normally our grant beneficiary normally, not always, but normally, they have limited experience. On the contrary, the contractors, meaning the construction company, they are making tenders every day, so they are very experienced. So it is a contractual relationship that is a bit unbalanced, and therefore we are focusing in our work in having a proper contract to protect our grant beneficiary from the contractor, if we can say so. And that is the reason why we have create this manual with all these annexes, with all these procedures that are relevant for the grant beneficiary. Of course, in order to avoid that the grant beneficiary can make mistakes, not respecting the important rules on procurement that are established by the European Union, also these aspects are addressed in our manual, in our procedures. Let's say that normally for the works contract, we have the manual, in our manual, our presentation split in 3 parts. In the first part, we explain to our grant beneficiaries all the procedures, from the moment they think of preparing a tender dossier to the moment they will finally accept the infrastructure. And let's say between these 2 moments, let's say normally a couple of years are passing by. So it is quite comprehensive analysis of all the activities that should be implemented in these 2 years. Then, next to this general presentation with explanation, detailed explanation of what must be done, we have a schematic presentation that is summarized in an audit trail. And the audit trail is going to be presented in the next part of this presentation of today, where we go through each activity and we highlight which are the annexes that are relevant for the grant beneficiary in order to implement these activities. And then we will dedicate special attention to the 3rd paragraph of the manual that is dealing exclusively with the preparation of the tender dossier. We know by now, with a lot of experience that we have accumulated, that most of mistakes are done in the preparation for the tender dossier. Because the tender dossier often presents inconsistencies, often something is missing, often there are not proper connection between the general conditions and special conditions. So in order to avoid all these type of problems, we have created in our manual a special section dealing with the preparation of the tender dossier, so that the grant beneficiaries, and we always refer to people that have little knowledge about procurement, but that have to use procurement and contractual procedures in order to implement the budget of their grant project, so that they can do it very easily. So in the next part, we will first present now, we are going now to present the general structure of this type of contracts, of this type of tender procedures. And then it means that we are presenting the audit trail. And then we are going to present, to give hints for the preparation of the tender dossier. Thanks a lot for your attention, and let's go on with the next phase.